Welcome to Wrasslin Raw!
All right, you're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when Raw became war and Attitude ruled. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
Does that feel fake? Huh? Does that feel fake?
Speaking of Dave Hebner in the bathroom, Joe Giammatteo.
If I'm going straight to hell, you're damn sure coming with me.
I have the one and only Jason Bartlett, and we're going to examine WWE history. One episode of Raw is war at a time. In this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on April 21st, 1997. This Raw was recorded at the Broome County Arena in Binghamton, New York, and features Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
All right, then. Let's get into it. We're going to start off the evening smelling Paul Bearer's burning flesh from the flames of hell. And then the sound of the glass shattering as Stone Cold Steve Austin comes down to the ring for an interview with Vince McMahon. And we found out that tonight Stone Cold is going to go up against Bret the Hitman Hart in a street fight tonight. My goodness. Stone Cold is going to be getting a title shot coming up at the next pay-per-view. We also found that out. And whenever Austin starts talking, the bottom line here tonight is that Stone Cold wants to kick Bret Hart's ass back to Canada. Then they put up a timer up on the Titantron for Bret Hart to accept this challenge, which got me really confused because commentary was talking as if this was already a made match. But then they were waiting for Bret to accept with this big dramatic timer. Was I missing something there, guys, or was that confusing to you too?
I don't know if they were waiting for him to accept or if they were just waiting for him to come out and start the match. I don't remember.
I took it as that they were waiting for him to accept it.
Yeah.
That's the way I kind of took it too, but
It was probably also a little fun thing to get the crowd involved too with the stupid countdown and stuff.
Yeah. Well, Bret does come up on the Titantron and unfortunately hits all of the anti-American bullet points on his way to accepting the challenge from Austin. Austin ends up leaving to go backstage to find Bret Hart while commentary runs down the card for us for the evening, including some tidbits about Ken Shamrock challenging Iron Mike Tyson. And we got a scene of Vader held hostage, day 9 of the crisis in Kuwait, which I thought was hilarious. And finally, The Undertaker. I, at this point, thought that he was going to be defending the belt against Hunter Hearst Helmsley. My research said that this was a title shot, but then at one point later on, they say that it's not, so we'll get to that later on. But we got a view backstage of Austin searching the rear corridors of the building for Bret. Right off the bat here, guys, rather than lead with the Sultan, the WWF decided to give us Stone Cold Steve Austin and the best feud in the company right up front. Joe, what did you think about the way they changed up the format tonight?
It is a nice little change. It starts out with the Stone Cold Steve Austin music. We're going to see some Monday Night Raw starts like this quite a bit over the next couple years. So nice little preview here, even a little preview of the Austin McMahon rivalry because Vince is in there interviewing him and Austin's getting pretty mouthy with him and making some threats. So that was good to see. I guess Bret Hart kind of has a point when he says Austin doesn't really deserve a shot at the title. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
But, who's not going to want to see Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker? I think that should probably be a good match and draw money, as they say. So, yeah, I thought this was a nice start to the show. It was a nice little change of pace and I guess also good fallout from the pay-per-view that we just saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, I agree. The beginning of this, it sure seems like a mold of things that we're going to see, moving forward. We start with just JR and King on commentary and Stone Cold's breaking glass and him coming to the ring to scream into the mic. This is going to be very familiar, but it's the first time we start like this, so it was kind of cool to see that. And there were hints of the Vince rivalry here. He starts ripping into Vince He's saying, "Shut your stink hole" at one point, which was pretty great. And Stone Cold is 100% honed at this point. This is 100% classic Stone Cold, and he does a great job on the mic. And Bret Hart comes up, and I don't mind his hating America talk as long as it's not those boring pre-recorded videos. I'm fine with it. And then Stone Cold comes back with that great line, "If I'm going straight to hell, you're damn sure coming with me." That's fantastic shit, and it's just a cool thing to see the start of here, the Stone Cold show, so to speak.
Yeah, this segment got me kind of thinking about the whole Bret Hart thing, the anti-Americanism, and I kind of made a comment about it there in my breakdown, but it's almost like whenever he's hitting those points, like that's the one little section of his promos that feels scripted. Like it feels like, he's standing there reminding himself, okay, number one, I gotta say that they love violence. Number two, they're not wholesome. You know what I mean? Once he runs through the list and then moves on, it sounds great again, but it's just,
I don't know so much about, to me, it doesn't come off as, I know what you mean. It doesn't come off as scripted to me, though. It's almost like just bullet points.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That he wants to make sure that he throws that in there just to kind of, make sure people know I'm a heel.
Yeah.
In case they haven't been watching for the past, couple months.
Yeah.
He also made sure to sneak in his stinking hyena line.
Yeah.
That got in there as well.
Well, I kind of wish that I might not have been watching for a couple months with our first match of the night. The Sultan, with the Iron Sheik, defeats Ahmed Johnson by disqualification in 4 minutes and 51 seconds. I thought it was funny to hear that the Sultan is not from a specific country. He's from, quote, the Middle East. Not any one of the nations there.
And he is Samoan.
The nation of Samoa in the Middle East. And with Ahmed's entrance, I noticed that the sound was it was kind of significantly off somehow. Like, commentary sounded fine, but Ahmed's music sounded more faint, like it was being picked up by secondary camera mics somewhere or something. Things were just a little bit off there. In the ring, after things get going, Ahmed hit a great-looking scissors kick while I was trying to ignore commentary talking about how South Africa loved Ahmed Johnson.
More than Nelson Mandela.
Yeah. The way that the Sultan was talking to the referee in the ring afterwards, I think Ahmed might have kicked the Sultan in the face for real with that scissors kick, because it looked pretty stiff, and then the aftermath, the Sultan checking with the ref and readjusting his mask. That wasn't the only miscommunication here in the ring, and there was all kinds of shit going on, the stutter steps and halted movement. And when the Sultan set Ahmed up for a pile driver, he pointed Ahmed's ass and Ahmed's G-string right at the hard camera and gave it a little slap before putting him up. And this match was just kind of hanging out there until the Nation of Domination showed up to stand up at the top of the entryway. Miracle of all miracles, there was a 2x4 hidden under the ring. Thank God for that.
No way.
Which causes the entire Nation of Domination to retreat. Ahmed wants to swing his board around, though, so he takes it to the Sultan instead, disqualifying himself, and he then proceeded to very gingerly tap the Sultan in the ring repeatedly with it. Thankfully, though, Dave Hebner showed up, and that disgusted Ahmed enough to give up what he was doing, and that's where we'll end it here. I have no idea what to think of this match. The whole thing was just kind of a train wreck of a match, train wreck of storytelling, and not a good first match to start the night off. Joe, what'd you think of it?
Well, you won't be surprised to hear that my mind kind of wandered off during this.
No.
Yeah.
How could it?
I just started thinking, man, it's amazing how badly Ahmed Johnson just pissed away his career, because he's way over. When he makes his entrance, people are really into it. They like this guy a lot, but yeah, it's unfortunate that he's going to just throw it all away. And also, yeah, still wondering how and why the Sultan had a match at WrestleMania. I'm not sure how that's possible, but it happened. Yeah, and I already talked about it, but I had noted how stupid it is that we have a Samoan guy in a Middle Eastern gimmick. That's pretty terrible. I'm so sick of this fucking 2x4.
Oh.
Once again, Ahmed is clearing away 9 fucking people. I counted them this time. 9 people. It's as if he has a gun, It's like he's holding a shotgun. All 9 people just run away. He never gets beat up. Vince says, but he won't have a 2x4 when he tries to run the gauntlet against the Nation of Domination. Are you sure about that, Vin Man? Are you sure that he will not have a 2x4?
I have a feeling that 2x4 is going to make an appearance.
I mean, you can just find them under the ring, apparently.
Yep, right where you happen to fall down.
Yeah, this was not very good. At the start, I see these two enormous guys, both decked out completely in red. And it was like the Kool-Aid Man battling the Hawaiian Punch Man is what I thought of here. And it wasn't a good battle. This was a very slow and boring battle. And then the 2x4 makes its appearance. The entire nation scatters because of it. And then maybe Ahmed's worst 2x4 hits ever. After he taps the Sultan once to cause the disqualification, he brings the Sultan into the ring and continues to assault the Sultan. And it is really bad. He slowly taps and clearly first hits the mat before he hits the Sultan's back. I couldn't believe what I was watching and the fact that they were trying to tell me that this was serious. They were trying to convince me of that. I won't ever forgive them for that gaslighting.
Oh boy.
Man, I have a real nice surprise for you guys later in the news. You're going to find it hard to believe.
The Sultan was injured by the 2x4.
He will never be back.
Unbelievable. Good Lord.
They had to carry his carcass out of there. They did not air that.
Dead.
Yeah. Death by 2x4.
My goodness. Guys, let's go backstage. We were very lucky to have cameras both inside and outside the Hart Foundation's locker room. Somehow Dave Hebner had wiggled his way in there, along with Pat Patterson and a couple of other stooges.
If there's a bathroom nearby, Dave Hebner will.
That's it. He travels through the pipes.
Yeah.
Austin was losing his shit and attacking the locked locker room door while Bret was saying that he will give Austin what Austin wants and what Austin deserves. Back at commentary, Ken Shamrock joined in, and he looked very happy to be there. Shamrock will be taking on Vader at the next In Your House in a no-holds-barred match. I thought we just had one of those. I don't know, this seems kind of strange, especially with Vader. I'm looking forward to Shamrock and Vader in the ring, but this no-holds-barred thing just seems a bit much. We then immediately ignored Ken Shamrock to talk about Vader's current Kuwait prison situation. I find it really funny that this interviewer that was on TV, this is the backstory of why Vader is in prison here. He's getting an interview, and the interviewer calls it fake. And I find it just very funny that the interviewer looked like the Kuwaiti version of John Stossel. Is everybody that's going to call this fake and get assaulted on camera going to have a shitty mustache and Jerry curl going on?
And I love that the show was Good Morning Kuwait.
Yes. First thing in the morning. Vader obviously didn't take kindly to being asked if wrestling was fake. He grabbed the interviewer by the tie and was telling him to come on down to the arena and get his ass kicked. He was there with the Undertaker, who I guess he was fighting with because Vader pointed to the Undertaker and said, "After I kick his ass, then I'll kick your ass." Back in the arena, we were still ignoring Ken Shamrock. Jerry Lawler had a picture of Vader that he drew. He put it up on the screen there. It looked pretty great. And then he drew some prison bars on the packaging of a action figure. That was pretty funny too.
Old jank action figure.
And then we finally went to Ken Shamrock, and boy howdy, this sounded very scripted and rehearsed. But, I mean, that's what Ken probably needs as he grows and learns in the WWF. Ken made a public challenge to Mike Tyson to fight him and thought that it was a good idea to specifically mention Tyson's rape charges there on the live mic in front of the entire arena.
I wish I could have seen Vince's face when he said that.
Yeah.
A guy they're trying to bring in for a celebrity spot, you bring up his rape charges.
Well, so that's how I wanted to start this off. Some important topics got brought up in this segment. And Ryan, do you think that Tyson will be showing up to fight Shamrock after the way that this challenge was issued?
I'm going to have to say no. Tyson is probably not going to be very happy about that. That was the first time I thought Shamrock did a pretty good job on the mic. I mean, you know, they say the real shit's the best, and bringing up Mike Tyson's rape charges, that's certainly diving into reality.
My goodness.
Obviously, this doesn't happen because we would remember it, I guess, if Mike Tyson did show up to fight Ken Shamrock, which I'm kind of glad it didn't, because the usage of Tyson with Austin and Michaels later was so much better than this would have been.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, this no holds barred shit, like, I think they just kind of throw that out there, like, whenever they fucking feel like it, like willy nilly, like, yeah, it's no holds barred. Like, what is it? What does it mean exactly? Like, why can't Shamrock and Vader just have a regular match? I'm not sure, but yeah, we'll find out.
They throw around no holds barred in the same way that Ken Shamrock throws around rape charges against Mike Tyson.
Well, they called that Ken Shamrock Vernon White thing a no holds barred match.
Exhibition.
Too.
That was an exhibition.
Yeah.
Any take on old Vader messing up this Kuwaiti John Stossel?
I thought it was pretty funny to watch. I mean, not nearly as violent as Schultz did on Stossel there, but I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I have more on that later. Dave Meltzer does also call that out, like, this is identical to the Stossel incident, so I'll have more on that later.
And really, aside from stretching the guy's tie, he doesn't do anything to him. He flips a table, but it doesn't really seem like he hurt the guy at all, so I wonder how that landed him in jail.
Well, I mean, we don't know what the Kuwaiti rules are. It might be illegal to put your hand on another man's tie.
Very true.
Dave Hebner would be upset over that, but
he'd be wanting you to put your hand on other things. All right, let's move it on here to our next match. Bret the Hitman Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin ends in a no contest in 8 minutes. This was classified as a street fight, which really is just a different way of saying no DQ, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, guys, but that's what it amounted to. The way this segment and match was organized on our screens was really funky. I had a hard time organizing it in my notes. Like, we started off with Austin just waiting in the ring. Bret was delaying. There was a lot of storytelling going on in and out of the ring, and just the whole situation was very fluid. As Bret finally showed up and Bret was distracting Austin, Owen and the Bulldog jumped Austin from behind. And then Shawn Michaels came out of the crowd swinging a steel chair, clearing the Bulldog and Owen out of the place, leaving just Austin and Bret in the ring. Austin put up no fight at all throughout the beginning of this, more or less just taking everything Hart was giving him, up to and including Bret Hart getting a steel chair and attempting to Pillmanize Austin's leg, which is where Austin dodges it and evens the score with Bret. Austin finally gets up on his feet and starts working for the first time in the match with this chair, starting to go after Bret's joints. Just various joints on the body. He didn't work one thing in particular, but he did a knee, he did a wrist, he did an elbow, I think. Bret sold the shit out of all of it. And there was just a lot of chair action happening here, and it looked pretty good. These guys were using it really well. I especially loved Austin and Bret flipping each other off right before Austin turned the sharpshooter on Bret. That was just a neat little spot. And we stayed in that sharpshooter for quite a long time, Austin refusing to let go until he almost collapses off of Bret Hart. We cut to commercial and come back to Owen and the Bulldog in the ring with Bret. EMTs had been called for. And things continued in the parking garage where the ambulance was parked. Austin was waiting there. Gorilla Monsoon was confronting him, and Monsoon kicked Austin out of the building. We came back to the EMTs getting Bret onto a stretcher. Bret shouting, "It's my leg, god damn it!" And the Bulldog shouting, "It's his leg, it's his leg!" And that's where I'll end this as a match segment. As I said, this wasn't, just strictly a match segment so much as it was just a very fluid storytelling segment, I guess. It happened to contain some in-ring action, but just as much stuff was going on in the periphery. Ryan, you had said during last week's episode that you would have preferred to wait a little while longer before getting the Bret Hart Stone Cold Steve Austin rematch. And here we have another rematch the very next night. What did you think of this?
Going off that, yes, the night prior, I was a little bit sick, or not sick, but I felt like the match could have been better if given a little bit more time in between them. It was my main point. This match, because of it being on Raw, not being a pay-per-view, and the fact that, as you rightfully stated, it's more of a storytelling element than it is a match, I have to say I didn't mind it. I wasn't sick of this part of it because this was just more story, more building up this feud between them, and there wasn't really much of a match, so to speak. It was Stone Cold dissecting Bret Hart with this chair by the end of it. He's just, attacking every joint of Bret Hart with this, and then sits in that sharpshooter for a long time. So yeah, I thought this was very effective work by both guys. Bret Hart did a great job of selling all of this. When we came back and they talked about that he's going to need an ambulance, though, the moment they brought that up, I knew what episode this was. It's an iconic episode, and I was looking forward to what we're going to see a little bit later.
Yeah, I have to start with the part that I did not like, because I liked all of this except for one thing, and that was, what rules did Steve Austin break in this match that caused all these referees to, like, he just had this guy in a sharpshooter. So why were all these referees coming in to stop? Like, it's a street fight. It's a match.
Here's the part that I guess confused me a little bit. I never heard a beginning or ending bell.
No.
Yeah.
The only thing I could guess is they were saying that the match was over, that Stone Cold won and beat Bret Hart, but he was refusing to stop the sharpshooter after the victory, and that's why they came out. But without a bell, I was kind of confused.
I feel like that piece of the storytelling was pretty sloppy, but everything else, it wasn't the fault of these two guys, Austin and Bret. It's just the way it was booked. But everything else here was very well done. And at this point in the show, I am thinking, there's got to be more to this, right? At this point in the show, that's kind of what we're thinking, because there's a lot of show left.
Yeah.
And we didn't really get all of the answers here. So this is very well done, I think. Shawn Michaels coming in for the save, totally didn't see that coming. That came out of nowhere. So that was nice. Got a nice crowd pop there. He gave Owen Hart an extremely protected chair shot to the head. It was almost like a Hulk Hogan little tap to the head. I thought that was funny. But I thought all of this was very well done.
100% agreed. It was a neat little chapter in this ongoing story that we have. I am looking forward to talking about this next segment with you guys.
Tiger Ali Singh.
Yeah, just for the sheer fact of we've got somebody new debuting here. Let's move forward to our next match. Tiger Ali Singh defeats Sal Sincere by pinfall in 4 minutes and 43 seconds. Ryan, was Sal Sincere a jobber of the week previously?
Sal Sincere was absolutely a jobber of the week, and I think his action in the ring should clearly display that. But he was our jobber of the week back on our November 25th, 1996 episode.
Thank you, sir. Talk about zero build-up for a debut. My goodness. As soon as Tiger Ali Singh takes control here in the ring, we went to split screen to see Bret Hart on a stretcher, with Vince apologizing to Tiger and Salvatore because they're going to try to get as much footage of Bret Hart on a stretcher that they can during this match. In the ring, all I could do was feel bad for Tiger Ali Singh. He's got a good look, in my opinion, and seems like with some time he could be a really good worker. But it was clear that nobody gave a shit about getting this new guy over at all. And that's about it for me. What a shame that they weren't giving this guy a fair shake. It was honestly just kind of disappointing. Joe, what'd you think about this match?
Yeah, both guys getting the jobber treatment right away. There's no intro to this. Like, they're just both in the ring and the match is starting. Tiger Ali Singh, they showed us like a couple months ago, there was some press conference for his signing to the WWF, and then him winning this Kuwaiti Cup, and he gets the fucking jobber treatment tonight. Like, it's so weird. I mean, we're just going back to the Hart Foundation in the back. By the way, Owen Hart hates America, but he's wearing a Michigan University tracksuit. I just wanted to point that out. So I didn't care about this match, and it appears as though they didn't want me to care about it, so mission accomplished.
Yeah, Joe, that's a perfect way to put it. They really didn't give two shits if we watched this match or not. Poor Tiger Ali Singh, what a absolutely blown debut here, because they just focused on Bret Hart on his stretcher pretty much the entire time. Not to mention, by the end of this match, as they went and showed us the third or fourth split screen with Bret Hart, I got to thinking, this is the longest stretcher ride ever to an ambulance, as they must have just been like circling him around the arena before they got him to the ambulance. But I did have to wonder if Nathan McAlpin is still a wrestling fan, though. He had a big sign out in the crowd that just had his name on it. So that stuck out to me because I had nothing else to pay attention to in this match. They didn't really care, so I figured I'd see who's in the crowd. So hopefully Nathan's still a wrestling fan.
Yeah. What did you guys think of his look? I mean, he's a big guy. He looks like he's in pretty good shape.
His look wasn't too bad. The thing I thought that was kind of odd was the end. His finisher is kind of anticlimactic. It was like a cartwheel kick or something. I mean, he's got to work on that. He needs a better finisher than that.
Yeah, it just... Go ahead, Joe. Oh. Come on.
Buried to hell.
We didn't give him a good chance here, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't give him a good chance.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
You're going to learn all about him in a couple of weeks when Ryan gives us the fucking rundown on
Jobber.
Yeah.
Oh,
you'll know everything about Tiger.
Actually, he may never show up on Raw again. I might not even have a chance.
Yeah, this might have been it.
Well, in case you didn't get enough of it, let's all go back to Bret on a stretcher in one of the many rounds that he was making there across the concourse. Jerry Briscoe was there helping to guide the stretcher. They hit a bump that caused Bret to groan and Owen to scream, "Watch his knee!" Bret got loaded up into the ambulance, and there was Stone Cold Steve Austin in the driver's seat. I popped my ass off, and I laughed long and hard as the EMTs are running out of the back of the ambulance, leaving the doors open. They framed that scene perfectly. Stone Cold kicking and hitting Bret Hart, who was still strapped onto that damn stretcher. Stone Cold drags the stretcher out, Owen and Bulldog finally getting in there to pull Austin off, and with the right people in the ambulance, they drive off to get Bret Hart to the hospital. Joe, I love this segment, and it feels like we're really getting into the Attitude Era with the surprise of Austin being in the ambulance. The way that the camera work was done, just this whole scene felt more cinematic and more entertainment than wrestling. What'd you have on this?
Yeah, I mean, Austin is, one of the all-time great talkers on the mic, but actions speak louder than words, and this type of shit is really, really what got Austin over is this type of crazy shit. This made me think of Vince McMahon in the hospital bed, that type of shit. And we don't see this often enough right now where we are. So, it's going to become kind of a common theme on Raw moving forward. But this was really creative, really good stuff. And, this is what they were setting up for. I mean, how could you not like this? I mean, the last time we saw something like this was probably Ahmed Johnson blasting through that pink shirted jogger in the back. So it's been too long. And this was just perfectly executed. And props to Bret Hart for, Bret Hart always, he didn't make a ton of friends in the wrestling business, but he put Austin over. Like, he's putting Austin over in this entire fucking show, and it's really great.
Yeah, Austin sitting in the driver's seat of the ambulance is what I was talking about, the iconic scene, because, this is one of the greats. It's a classic scene. I think anyone that was a viewer of the Attitude Era probably remembers the Stone Cold in the ambulance beating the shit out of Bret Hart, and it's fantastic. It is greatly done. I mean, let's make no bones about it. This is straight up soap opera shit, but I'm eating it with a spoon because it's fucking great. There's really nothing to add much more to this other than great job by everyone involved, including the writers, because this is just storytelling. This has nothing to do with wrestling, and I love it.
Well, something that we didn't love, or I'm guessing you guys didn't love, because I sure as fuck didn't, was our next match. Rockabilly with the Honky Tonk Man defeat Double J Jesse James by pinfall in 8 minutes and 48 seconds. My God. I really hate Cousin Eddie's music career here. Everything about this is terrible. I think I've formally adopted Cousin Eddie as the name
Shitter's
of the show.
full.
Thank you for that. Yep. Shitter's overflowing here.
Can we point out, like, we just saw this?
Yes.
One night ago.
24 hours ago.
Unlike seeing Stone Cold and Bret Hart again.
Yeah, and we all gave it a dud, I think, right? Or a 1. Nothing more than 1.
Yeah, nothing more than a 1. And that was just a pity 1.
So this has to be better, right?
Sure.
Tonight.
Well, funnily enough, that's the end of my notes. I really, all I had was we just saw this. It was a dud then, and it's still a dud now. That's pretty much it. As far as the match goes, that wasn't quite the end of things, though. Double J came at Rockabilly after the bell, but that brought in the Honky Tonk Man, who smashed his heirloom over Jesse James's head, and that's when things ended. Like I said, dud before, dud again. Not sure what else I need to say. Ryan, what'd you think about it?
I mean, we don't typically give star ratings for Raw episodes, but yeah, this is definitely a sequel.
You'll make an exception.
Yeah, this is a sequel dud from the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
What the fuck were they thinking? It was a dud match. It was voted the worst match by the viewers, and you give us a repeat tonight. And it might have been longer. This might have been a longer fucking match, and just as much useless dancing by both people. Jesse James comes down singing this tired ass song again, and they zoom in on 2 little girls who are clearly as tired of this song as we are, because they basically yawn out of boredom when they zoom in on them. I'm speechless because I can't come up with words as to why they would decide the audience would want to see this again. At the end, the only thing different from the In Your House match is Jesse James gets hit over the head with the heirloom guitar at the end. Okay, great. I don't give a shit about either 2 of these gimmicks. No one involved here do I care about. Jesse James, Rockabilly, Honky Tonk Man. Just stop.
Yeah, I would rather watch Christmas Vacation 2 over this.
I don't know about that.
I think I would. The Island Adventure.
So long, though.
We did get footage of Billy Gunn punching out Honky Tonk Man 2 weeks ago, so that makes all of this make more sense, right?
They were trying to clarify.
Yeah. All of this is bad. Everything that they did to build up to this was bad, and this is boring. It's not a good feud. The gimmicks are horrible. And the crowds are fucking silent during anything that's happening for this match or the one last night. So yeah, another dud.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it'll work this time, right?
Yeah,
like it didn't work last night, but they just didn't try hard enough.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. The 2 wrestlers aren't bad wrestling with each other. The main problem is them trying to shoehorn their 2 gimmicks into the match while they wrestle. I don't know.
I don't know. Way too much just showboat.
Well, yeah,
I will.
That's what I'm saying. The showboat. When they're actually hitting moves on each other, they sold them well. They were performing the moves well. It's just everything else is unforgivable.
Well, one thing I will say that I think I kind of noticed, I'm not sure, I didn't really put it in here because I didn't know if it was maybe just me or what, but it seems like somebody told them to slow down. And they were trying it. That's like the one big difference between the pay-per-view match and this match is they were not quite as manic in the way that they were working. They seemed a lot more deliberate in what they were doing. I mean, I suppose that was a positive. Let's move it along now to Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin. They were confronting each other in the locker room. Austin was saying that he didn't need help. Michaels was saying that he wasn't helping Austin. He was just hurting the Hart Foundation. And from there, we went to some kind of boiler room type location for a promo for Mankind. Mankind was talking about the burned, ruined mess that was Paul Bearer getting a scraping procedure in the burn unit. My God. Get well soon, Uncle Paul. But then the bell ominously tolls over Mankind, and I'll pause it there. Joe, what did you think about Shawn Michaels getting in the mix with Austin here, as well as Mankind's promo?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's unexpected. Austin and Michaels yelling at each other. Again, more storytelling with Austin. You know, Austin didn't do much wrestling tonight, but he is really putting on quite the entertaining show the entire night here. So I like that. And yeah, Mankind, I mean, he's talking about the most beautiful man in wrestling having his face just completely rearranged, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, the stuff with Stone Cold bitching at Shawn Michaels, this is just, setting up the Stone Cold don't trust anybody mentality. And even to his own detriment, right? Because Shawn Michaels doesn't come out here. The Hart Foundation just continue to shoe shine him, and he doesn't get to send Bret away on a stretcher. So even though Shawn Michaels' actions help him out here, he doesn't like it. And JR does a good job of trying to explain that to us when they come back, too. Mankind in some type of boiler room, talking about the stench of Paulie's face. Just saying the words, the scraping procedure, it makes you get that squirmy feeling in your stomach. It makes you imagine it, and you can almost feel it on the nerves on your face. It's just a disgusting thing to think about. So great job by Mankind there.
Absolutely agreed. That's the kind of promo that I like from Mankind. He delivered it very well. And as I said, the bell tolled there towards the end of it. He gave a dramatic pause and look up as he heard it. And that is what took us into our final match of the night. The Undertaker defeats Hunter Hearst Helmsley with Chyna by disqualification in 12 minutes and 30 seconds. They gave Hunter quite an entrance here. It felt like a lot, and JR was really leaning into putting over the Undertaker's athleticism at the start of this, rattling off all of the stats. Vince McMahon sounded like he could not care less about any of that, though. Besides that, I mostly just sat back and enjoyed this. This wasn't a clinic or anything close to it, but after the past two matches, it was good to just see a straight wrestling match between two great workers. The barbing between Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler was pretty entertaining throughout the episode, but they were especially entertaining in this match. And after a while, the camera panned over and we saw Goldust and Marlena in the audience dressed as civilians. JR says, "Hey, that's Dustin and Terry. I mean, Marlena. I meant to say Marlena." But then, wait a minute, what's that? It was Mankind coming down the entryway with a fucking blowtorch. My goodness. See, now a blowtorch, that I can get behind. These fireballs that just erupt out of nowhere, not as much, but a blowtorch attached to an acetylene tank, now that has some meat to it.
Wow.
Nitpicking dickbag, maybe, but because of the blowtorch there, we almost missed the great-looking chokeslam on Hunter. Fantastic chokeslam, worked perfectly.
That was a good one.
Mm-hmm. Mankind hits the Undertaker with the acetylene bottle from the torch. Once he gets in the ring, that's what draws the DQ. And Mankind then struggles to relight the torch to burn the Undertaker. And as soon as he gets it lit, the Undertaker comes to and goes like a choking grab onto Mankind, standing over him. And then a full-on brawl starts. It heads out into the crowd. That's not all that's going on. Chyna had gotten a little too close to that side of the ring where Marlena was seated. Marlena jumps up and uses the strap of her purse to strangle the shit out of Chyna while Goldust was attacking Hunter. And we cut to commercial there, so that's where I ended this. I enjoyed watching this match. It was solid, and even the shenanigans after were mostly entertaining. Joe, what did you think about this match and its aftermath?
Well, it was a little weird for me because these two guys, Undertaker and Hunter Hearst Helmsley, are legendary Hall of Famers now, but I'm not getting that vibe here. I guess I don't think it was a bad match by any means, but there wasn't anything very exciting to me. And I don't know, maybe that's because I've kind of grown tired of the blue blood gimmick at this point. I think it's a little stale China laid the baby oil on pretty thick tonight and looks great. So she didn't really get too involved until that whole, getting choked thing. Speaking of that, the Goldust and Marlena thing was very strange to me. That angle, I'm not sure what they were going for there. It looked like Goldust and Marlena were just in disguise, I guess, as themselves. But then JR says that's Dustin and Terry. I'm not sure if that was a mistake or if that's...
I think it might have been a fuck up.
Yeah. I don't know. So that just made it very confusing to me. And I have to say that I do not work in wrestling creative and never have, but if I'm working on laying out this program tonight, this entire show, and I saw that they were going to have Mankind come out with a blowtorch, I would probably ask the question, guys, there were like 5 referees trying to stop a sharpshooter earlier, and nobody's going to come out to stop this man from using a blowtorch on another man's face. Not one person came out to stop it. I just want to point that out.
Oh, the fear was very believable.
Yeah.
The match starts, I thought that Chyna did a really good job at the beginning here because so far Chyna has showed no fear. She's went up against and humiliated people like Bart Gunn without any qualms about it. But she knew to give The Undertaker the respect that he deserved. And she showed hesitance to walk towards and starts to backtrack when The Undertaker looks at her. So I just thought that was good storytelling on her part, putting The Undertaker over in the proper way he deserves. And then I thought that Taker and Hunter put together a good match. Bartlett, kind of like you, I didn't really take a bunch of notes because, it wasn't something that had a bunch of spots that you want to point out. It was just good, solid wrestling between two good workers. And it was fun to watch, most of it. I mean, it was pretty much flawless. I did think it was kind of funny. Commentary, they start to go over the few people that have had success against The Undertaker, and they brought up Mankind has probably had the most success and that Vader has had a little bit, but for some reason they left Mabel off that list. And, I'm thinking Mabel is the only one that actually got a clean pin right in the middle of the ring on The Undertaker.
Of all the people to bring that up, you.
King Maybell.
When you're talking about people that you've decided to put over on The Undertaker and you don't bring up the big purple machine is just a little bit odd to me. I thought it was cool, though, seeing Tori and Dustin in civilian clothes. Obviously with Hunter and Chyna involved, you knew it was going to have something to do with that, but it was kind of cool. And Mankind coming out with a blowtorch. I had no problems with this. I have no problem with the fireball either.
Neither did anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I had no problem.
Nobody else in the building had a problem with it either.
Dave Hebner, he's fine with it.
Yeah.
I didn't have any problem with the fireball gimmick, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm fine with this. And the way Undertaker comes to life at the end, grabs him by the throat, chases him out of the arena, and it sets up Tori choking Chyna, and we get the end here. So, yeah, all around, I thought that this was a pretty good, solid final match between two great future Hall of Famers. So, I enjoyed myself.
The blowtorch thing would have been so much better, too, if Vince was not on the call.
Well, sure, yeah.
Speaking of Hall of Famers, Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to come down to the ring one more time tonight towards the end of things here. Vince was just loving life as he set up Austin's promo for him. You can see the twinkle of money in Vince's eyes every time. Yeah. Every time the crowd popped for Austin, Vince got a shit-eating grin on his face, and he just took a big look around to see everybody popping for him. Vince did not look pleased whenever Austin told Vince that Austin was going to knock Vince's ass out in front of everybody, though. That was a good spot there. Austin has Owen and the Bulldog to deal with next, but Austin will also be taking on The Undertaker for the championship, as we mentioned earlier. Austin then confused the hell out of me when he said that he was the ruler of the world. Like, I thought that was maybe going to be a dig at Sid, but then he never went anywhere with it. He kind of like rambled down after that, because out of nowhere, Owen and the Bulldog hit the ring, start beating the shit out of Austin. Vince is in there trying to separate them. Owen bumps Vince across the ring. That was pretty good to see. That, of course, draws Shawn Michaels again with the chair. We got a shot of Vince acting like Mr. McMahon in caps there, ordering someone to get medical help for Austin. And after some delay, Brian fucking Pillman comes out of the crowd and attacks the vulnerable Austin in the ring. Pillman then grabs a chair, lights Austin up. What a great shot that was. Vince McMahon was losing his shit all over this, up to and including when Shawn Michaels entered the ring to chase off Pillman. And that's where we faded to black. Guys, I can't say that I liked all of this. Some of it felt like a little bit of a cluster. But regardless, this was one hell of a way to end the episode. Joe, what'd you think of the way Raw ended tonight?
I mean, I liked all of it. I thought that this perfectly caps off this episode. This show in general was absolute chaos when it comes to Steve Austin and the Hart Foundation, and that's how this show ended. Just total chaos. This is Stone Cold Steve Austin's big coming out party, this whole episode, pretty much. He's getting in Vince's face again. He's making threats, and the crowd is cheering for him to kick Vince's ass. You have Shawn Michaels coming in again, unexpected. So, that's kind of setting up this odd couple of Austin and Michaels. And how long were we bitching about friendship?
Yep.
And now we're getting the opposite of that. So I'm okay with that. If they're going to put Austin and Michaels together, they're going to be the odd couple tag team that doesn't trust each other. And I'm going to enjoy that. And Brian Pillman coming out was unexpected. Again, just so many unexpected things that were great. His rainbow pants were terrible, but this attack is great and just a hot as fuck ending to the show. And also, I have to point out like how great this Pillmanized move is. Mm-hmm. Like when guys are gonna Pillmanize each other. Yeah. It happened twice. Well, nobody ended up getting it, but the setup happened twice tonight, and it's just so effective. It's believable, but still a little bit outrageous. But again, it's believable and it's great. Yeah, I really liked this as I think this was the best ending to the live Raw era that we've seen so far, which hasn't been, a huge sampling, but enough that this was the best ending so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, I'm going to play off of that because I completely agree. There was really nothing about this ending I disliked. And from the very beginning, Stone Cold comes down and they kind of solidify that tonight was the Stone Cold show. And he cuts another great promo. Bulldog and Owen come out. They start shoe shining Austin. Shawn Michaels comes down again. And then Brian Pillman comes out. And what fantastic shit out of him. I mean, the shirt that he had on. Did you guys read the shirt?
No.
The shirt was, "I don't call 911" with a picture of a gun.
That's right.
With the way we last saw him, what a fantastic fucking shirt to wear.
I have a feeling that won't be the last time we see it.
I have nothing but praise to give everything about the end of this. And Joe, I agree. Probably one of the hottest endings to Raw that we've seen. Just fantastic shit. I loved it.
Yeah, the things that I didn't like about this were more, the little confusing parts, like the whole ruler of the world thing, and Austin a couple times seemed like he was getting a little over the top with some of it. If he would have just kept it at a slow burn instead of going into the whole ruler of the world thing, like that's, what I'm trying to say? Like it kind of messed up the momentum for me.
The ruler of the world thing, that stuck out to me too. The moment I heard it, I of course thought of Sid. And then it seemed like Stone Cold also realized that, because what he was trying to do was talk about winning and what would happen when he takes over to becoming the world World Heavyweight Champ. And I think he just like accidentally used the ruler of the world thing that Sid, and then he caught it. You could almost see in his face like, oh shit, that's the Sid line. I got to try and veer away from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, really what he was doing, he was quoting Jack from Titanic.
That's it.
I'm the ruler of the world.
Paint me like one of your whatever girls.
All right, as I said, we faded to black, so let's take it on over now to highlights and lowlights. Joe, why don't you take that first?
Well, I was an asshole a couple weeks ago and said that there were no highlights on a recent episode of Raw is War, but I'm going to go the opposite here. I'm going to say this entire show was fantastic. The whole entire show was the highlight for me, mainly because it really highlighted Steve Austin. And the purpose of this show was to get him over because he's got a title shot coming in like 3 weeks. So we had to work to get him over, and it did just that. And I could point out some lowlights, but I'm not going to because I enjoyed this episode so much.
I'm not far off from you, Joe. My highlight is just Stone Cold in general. Tonight was the Stone Cold show, and he took the reins and drove the show all night to great effect. So he's definitely the highlight. Low light, the Sultan and Ahmed Johnson. I just couldn't bypass the low light that match was, especially with Ahmed Johnson and his 2x4. It's going to be a low light every time.
We're going to be similar in theme for my highlight. I went with specifically Austin beating on Bret in the back of the ambulance. Just what a great scene. Great to watch. Popped my ass off. I did want to give honorable mention to the return of Brian Pillman in the ring, though. I mean, he wasn't in a match, but he was seeing a little bit of action there. Good to see him up and running around. Lowlights, I had to go with the way they treated the debut of Tiger Ali Singh. If he could just develop himself a little bit, like we could have some nice variety in the singles scene with him in there, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen because, well, fuck him, I guess.
Yeah.
There's other important things going on.
There's split screens to get to.
Joe, do you have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around April 21st, 1997 for us?
Yes, direct from the Observer. The big news, of course, is Leon White, a.k.a. Vader, found himself in the middle of a strange legal situation, replicating the famous David Schultz incident from 12 years ago while appearing on Good Morning Kuwait. Mr. White was immediately placed under house arrest in his hotel room after the incident and detained in Kuwait while the rest of the WWF tour returned home. White had a hearing on April 22nd and was expected to be cleared to return the next day. Many people have speculated the event was a publicity stunt by the WWF to garner the type of gossip column that WCW is drawing with the likes of Dennis Rodman and Reggie White. Nevertheless, all WWF wrestlers appear to be believing the incident was legitimate. Dave Meltzer, his personal feeling is that the incident was real, and the WWF decided several days after the fact to use it to gain as much mainstream publicity as possible. So that is everything on the Vader situation. We talked about Sid tonight, the master and the ruler of the world.
Yeah.
He is supposed to return next week on Raw and start back on the road on May 2nd.
Okay, good.
Must have a break in
interesting.
softball already.
Spring ball's over.
Yeah.
Dave Meltzer's overall thoughts on tonight's Raw is War was that the angles were great, but the matches were really bad. I think we can
Yeah, that's fair.
pretty much agree on that. He thought the Rockabilly and Jesse James match was worse than the night before. Wanted to point that out.
I agree. I think I made that exact comment.
Dave has some comments as well on the whole Goldust and Marlena situation from tonight. He thinks the plan is to either greatly change the Goldust character or get rid of it completely since it's not getting over as a babyface. Another thing that definitely happened, was some fractured ribs and a swollen eye from a 2x4 shot and a kick to the face that the Sultan suffered from Ahmed Johnson.
I thought that kick to the face was pretty fucking stiff.
Okay, so the kick to the face maybe, but the 2x4s, come on.
So I wanted to point out that the original shot with the 2x4 was sort of cut out from the broadcast.
Yes, yeah, okay. And it made it look shitty. It made it look like it was a bad hit.
I wonder if that's when it happened.
It definitely wasn't later, because those ones were bad.
Fractured ribs and a swollen eye.
Wow.
And that is all.
All right. Thank you, Joseph. Illuminating as always. And that's it, folks. We are done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us. If you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can email us at WRASSLINRAW. Just add @gmail.com to the end of that to submit questions or comments. Check us out on social media and on every podcast subscription platform. While you're there, don't forget to follow and subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you every week. Give us a 5-star review and tell all of your friends to tune in to the most relentless Monday Night Raw review podcast on the airwaves. Next week on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to take a look at the Raw that aired on April 28th, 1997, with matches featuring Flash Funk, Gold Dust, and many more. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.